And we're back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Today we're focused on Star Trek: The Original Series, Wink of an Eye. And I see we have a lot of folks in the chat already, and folks are asking about Ruben, but we don't know what happened to him. He just like kind of disappeared, and
he's actually here.
Yeah.
He's actually here. He's just moving so quickly that no one
You
can
can't
see him.
No, but in all seriousness, audience, I hate to disappoint you, but Ruben's might not make it to this one. He said he'll try his best, but he's having a lunch with our friend Shaka, who, as you may know,
Star Trek Picard actor,
yes,
Shaka de
exactly.
Silva.
That's what we could call it. That's how I'm gonna refer to him every time. Star Trek Picard actor.
He was a
Shaka.
credited actor. He had
I know,
a
it's
speaking
true.
role on an episode of Star Trek. That's legit.
That's like my dream come true. I just think I would like be the worst. They'd have to they'd have to redub my voice with someone who's not like freaking out, you know. But and then I'm not sure where Robbie is either. He might also be accelerated, but he might pop in later as well. So we'll see. There might be a couple of pop-ins, which is appropriate for this episode. How are you guys doing, Fathery and Ian?
Doing good.
Doing well.
Excellent.
Doing
It's so
good.
nice to have you guys here.
I just watched like the best rugby game I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it was a good one.
Who was it? Who was the teams?
Ireland and England.
Oh, that's right. You told us about that last night. I remember. So Ireland won, I guess.
Yeah.
Yay, the fight in Irish. Go Irish.
But it was a close one.
Ian was not watching that. He was watching the
thing is,
NFL.
yeah, well, my grandmother is Irish, so I have a foot in both camps, so
But
I'm okay.
Next
Whoever
week,
wins
next
between
week,
England and Ireland.
next week, Ireland needs England to beat France. So
That's
now
gonna be
they
difficult. I watched.
yeah. Now they need a favor from England, so we'll see what happens.
I actually
I also
watched the French game when we were on the cruise, so I did watch that while we were there. So the French look good
Yeah, they're good.
from what I saw. Yeah.
It's nice to have both of y'all here. After you guys were both on the cruise together, and so now you're here on the show. It's cool. Like you guys have that cruise afterglow still. It's kind of nice.
It's the first time we've seen each other since the cruise, actually. So because obviously from the last live stream, I was just boarding, and obviously Fathery was waiting for his flight.
Yeah, I was in the
cool.
airport last week.
Yeah.
Also, just I'm sorry to do this to you, Ian, but happy birthday! You want to mark this occasion? It's very cool. Yesterday was Ian's birthday.
Yesterday was my birthday. Yeah. So I was treated to see the Batman. So it was a good day. So we had 2 episodes because obviously the Star Trek lands the next day than it does in the US. So I had 2 episodes of Star Trek. So I watched Discovery in the morning. In the afternoon, lunchtime, I went and saw the Batman, and then in the evening I watched Picard. So can't be that bad.
Packed day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I watched another film in the evening after that, so it wasn't too bad. Which was actually a science fiction time travel one again as well. So that was sort of in keeping with Picard.
Yeah,
With the time travel.
sounds
But
like
yeah,
my
so I
kind of
enjoyed that,
birthday. Very nice.
Quiet, pretty much on my own for the majority of it, but it was fine.
Cake is Eternal is here and points out so much sabotage in this episode. Did y'all notice that Captain Kirk said sabotage? My favorite way of saying that word.
Yeah, the
in
wrong
this
way.
episode.
Yeah, we'll go that way.
Chris Collins is here. Nice to see you, Chris. And Chris says, I think we're getting an echo from you, Ian. I'm not sure. Can you make sure echo cancellation is on in the settings? There's a setting and it just says echo cancellation.
Yeah, I'm doing that now.
Thank you. Anyways, Chris said, I'm
It's
gonna
on.
whisper. Oh, it is? Oh, that's weird. I don't know.
I'll turn the volume down just in
A
case.
little bit. Yeah. You might get a little closer so you can hear. That's better. All right. This was a unique idea of moving so quickly that you sound like a buzz, like a bee or mosquito. Real quick episode summary before we dive into it. Kirk and crew get a distress call from this planet. What is it called? Scalara?
Scalos.
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 Yeah, because they're Scalosians. They're called the Scalosians, so it's Scalos.
The Scalosians are basically like giving a sob story about how there's only 5 of them left. They don't know what's happening to their civilization, so ships will come and investigate, and when they do, they capture or kidnap folks and accelerate them to a very fast rate, which puts them on this different kind of plane, if you will. Kind of like what my mic is doing right now. It's like
And your arm. And your arm. Where'd you put your arm up? It went.
oh, and my arm. I'm accelerating right now. And then they use that to they capture mostly, I guess, um, people to reproduce because they were poisoned by radiation on their planet many hundreds of years ago, and the effects of that not only accelerated them, but it also diminished their ability to reproduce, and so they are a dying civilization. But of course, they mess with the wrong ship, the good ship Enterprise today, because there's a bunch of smarty pants on there that figure out their plot and are able to subdue their plans, with of course Kirk being amazing as always, and also Spock being amazing as always. Anyways, they send them along their way to basically just kind of die out on their planet, which is weird because they seem to have an anecdote for the acceleration. Did I miss something, Father or Ian? They didn't. There wasn't anything that precluded them from trying the anecdote out, right?
Well, they were offered it. They were offered the
Antidote. I kept saying anecdote. It's antidote.
Antidote. Yeah.
Antidote.
Yeah, no, they were offered the antidote. They were offered as Kirk said, you've offered the greatest minds in the Federation, but they basically said no.
Oh, they said no. I missed that part. Okay.
Yeah, I think they just all die. They just age out and die.
Yeah. So and very quickly too,
But
in the wink of an eye.
the thing that kind of bugs me about this episode now is I always wonder, like, because it's clear what happens between Deela and Kirk.
Oh yeah, the boot. I finally get it. I never got that before. I never got that before.
So it's the first overtly suggestion.
It's very overt,
that
yeah.
happened ever in Star Trek. This one, it's the first time.
Look, I even had a banner for it.
Is it possible that he gives her a child through that scene? Does David Marcus have a brother that
Oh
just
my gosh,
lived
that's
and
right.
died his whole existence in the wink of an eye?
Father, you know what that makes me feel like?
I don't know what the if it might be like an after dark topic to discuss, like the effectiveness of
effectiveness of it.
Of Kirk's pullout game, or
We'll say, oh jeez.
like we know what her motivations were. So
we'll definitely have this topic come up on After Dark and discuss it in more detail, but we'll skirt past it for this discussion. But yeah, that's an interesting concept that Kirk could have had an unknown son with Deela. That kind of blew my mind right now. That's pretty interesting.
I mean, he's obviously like trying to like buy time and stall. You also don't want to.
It wouldn't be very long.
Yeah. Kirk, you don't want to like brag about the length of this encounter.
Scalosian sex. Yeah.
Wink of an eye.
I love this. Cake is Eternal says, if I'm ever reincarnated as a posh socialite, I'm totally using the line, all this rushing about has left me windblown. Oh, that's right. Shaka does know Harvey. Shaka's friends with Harvey. So yeah, we should get I'll see. Maybe if Shaka comes on here, we'll try to get a scoop on no, well, we won't get it on
The
this
dude
show,
killed Shaka, and now we get to watch him, running around on the alternate Earth in Picard. But I'm like, you killed Shaka, you bastard.
Let's see here. Kirk's boots, which is awesome. That's your screen name today, Jill.
Yeah, another After Dark subject.
But would Kirk's
Well, they
We
would
need
have
Dr.
been Smith,
Muhammad.
so I think they would have been faster.
We need Biotrekker Dr. Muhammad to ask. He's the biology dude. We need to ask him these questions.
Well, what'd you guys think of this episode overall from what you remembered and seeing it this time?
It's an
I don't
interesting.
remember much of it as a kid.
I should have picked one of you. Sorry, Ian. Go ahead.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm
Sorry.
such sorry, fathery. I don't remember this much as a kid at all. It's one of these ones that just didn't really. The only thing I sort of probably remember is it's the tiki mug. Um, is
Sulu.
obviously vanishing and like the and that's all I probably do remember.
That's the same with
It's
me, Ian. Is all I remembered. I remembered this episode when the buzzing was happening and the kind of the coffee and everything, but I didn't remember the really insanely cool sci-fi concept that was in this
I mean,
episode.
this
Like,
is a
yeah,
purely sci-fi. This has no social commentary. It has nothing of that. Maybe there's yeah, obviously the pollution, will maybe
Radiation.
time and radiation, but that's maybe the only social commentary you're going to get. But it is a purely science fiction story this time, I think, and obviously be careful of where you put your drink because somebody may put a Mickey in it.
Yeah.
Uh,
that's a good, an accelerator.
Keep,
That's crazy.
keep
That's
an
a
eye
good
on your
point.
coffee.
Starfleet Boy had a. I won't go into it in great detail here, but Starfleet Boy had a really bad encounter on his 40th birthday. Someone did that to me, and it was fortunately
blimey.
everything turned out best case scenario of a worst case scenario. But you know, yeah, you do have to be careful.
Obviously,
It's a good
you were
warning.
looked after by your friends.
I was not looked after by my friends. It's true.
Oh, you
It's
were. Oh, okay.
no, I was not. So,
Yeah.
but it's
Oh,
not
okay.
my friend's fault. That's all I'll say. I was we'll go into it offline. I'll tell you the whole story.
Fair enough.
But that won't happen ever again because after that, Starfleet Boy takes his drink with him, puts his hand over it when he's walking around and is very
Good.
careful, and if he ever doubts, he throws the drink away and doesn't think about it.
Good.
So
So, yeah.
uh but anyways,
I just there is one question I want to ask you. How many husbands have you now lost? Obviously, you've
I've
lost
lost count. It's completely terrible how Star Trek kills off my husbands. Anytime I have a little crush on someone on Star Trek, it doesn't matter who they are. They like 99% of the time will die. So I'm like the Black Widow of Star.
Oh, what's his name? Conway or whatever? Was he
Yeah,
your
what was his name?
Compton.
Compton?
Compton.
Compton.
Yeah, Compton was told.
And how
Yeah.
long did he live with those people?
I
Like, was that
know.
months, years? Like how he's
I think
still
weeks,
wearing his
maybe, right?
uniform, but
Yeah, I think maybe weeks or something like that, perhaps.
I mean they had him fully indoctrinated. He was
That's
on
true.
board.
Mm.
But
He had
Because
a
he also had
girlfriend.
he had one of their weapons as well, so he must have been with them for a fair time for them to trust him with their one of their weapons.
And it's really interesting how the process works. Like if you get injured somehow, there's cellular degradation, and then you age really really rapidly and you die. So it's like you have to be very cautious. And they even everything was really well thought out. I thought they had these weapons that wouldn't hurt you in physically but could subdue you still. And like all this kind of I don't know. It was really neat. I liked all the sci-fi stuff. Kirk's Boot says this was kind of like another episode where the alien man loves the alien woman, but has to put up with her attraction to Kirk. Yeah, there was that going on with Deela and what was his
Weapons.
name?
Well, it's dealer in there, but this that scene sort of reminded me of the Kelvins with that one when they're trying to
Yeah,
introduce the human
yeah, very
emotions
similar
into them.
by
dynamic
any
there.
other name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I do have a terrible power, Joel. Um, I also saw a connection to TNG. I don't know if you guys remember that episode where Wesley and a bunch of kids are kidnapped by that society that
When the
has.
bow breaks.
Yeah, when the bow breaks, that's right. By that society who, in a weird way, like their planet
Yeah.
was cloaked, so it's kind of an interesting
Yeah, the
similar.
cloaking device makes them sterile, so
Yeah,
they kidnap the children. Yeah,
to keep going, to
yeah.
continue their kind. But maybe that's about the only. They're different in many other ways. But yeah, but very very interesting connection there. I wonder if the TNG writers were like, let's riff off this.
Well, speaking of that, in Star Trek Voyager, there's the episode "Blink of an Eye" that Sohel might have slept
Mm.
through, but
What happens in that one?
it's a really good episode. That's where they have that one planet that's its entire history is accelerated, and they watch the people go from like medieval times to actually exploring space, and the astronauts come on board the Voyager, and The doctor goes down there and like lives like a whole
The
life
doctor
down
goes down
there.
onto the planet. Yeah.
Yeah. But originally Brandon Braga wanted that episode to be called Wink of an Eye because I guess he didn't know there was an original series episode called that.
Oh,
Someone
interesting.
someone had to point that out to him, so they changed it to Blink of an Eye.
That's very interesting. I'm surprised that Brandon Braga for
He
not
he
knowing.
he didn't grow up with like TOS, so
Oh,
it was
okay.
it was new to him when
That's
he started
interesting. That's
working
very
on Star
cool.
Trek. Um,
That's a cool thing to find out that because he's a good. I like his Star Treks. You know, most of his Star Treks are really good.
I don't know if I would say most, but sometimes I guess. Um, but that moment where Spock is scanning everyone's coffee, I joked about last week, but I always think that when he scans Scotty's coffee, he should just be like, "Mr. Scott, there's a large amount of ethanol detected in your coffee. Do you care to explain?"
Yeah. This
That's really
also this
funny.
episode also is the first one where it starts off with Scotty doing the captain's log, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, Scotty's been in command a lot this season. I feel like, or at least it just feels like it feels that way for sure. Um,
Yeah.
I really liked the sleuthing also that was going on, like how they figured out the problem and how everyone was kind of working together, and there were like little clues, like Nurse Chapel, pointing out, hey, it looks like someone's been through all the medicine, and nothing's missing, but it just everything looks like it's been picked up and put back, and then the buzzing sound that was really clever when the tape, when they roll the when he accelerates the message to a certain point, he hears that "Ee," and then that's when they're able to like determine that like, oh, we can find out also what's on this tape that we found, and then he gets the message from Kirk, and that's what kind of leads to it was just like really nicely crafted. It felt very, even today it felt very new, kind of, it felt like it still felt fresh, I don't know, in a weird way, like the concept's still so pretty good, and it's like something we see now a lot in cinema, especially like they do it, of course, with the way they could with the slowing down of the film, and then and all that stuff, but like X-Men come to mind, where what's his name, the speedster,
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver, thank you.
Yeah.
When the of course it's done in a way more fantastical way, but it's the same concept that when you're accelerated to a certain speed, everyone else hardly moves, or they
Yeah.
move so slow that it's imperceptible to you, right? And then to the people that are in normal time, they don't even see you.
Well,
They might just feel you brushing up against them or
I
something.
think the Flash is probably the most famous
I was about to say the
example of
Flash has done that. Yeah, CW. Yeah.
yeah, character with super speed. So yeah, he's at the end when Spock's repairing everything, he's just like running around the Enterprise like Barry Allen at just ridiculous fast speed.
Yeah, and then
The,
Spock does that cool. That was also a cool scene at the end when Spock repairs the ship, and you see all the controls like buzzing and everything, and like they're like the circuits are repairing at like an insane rate. I just they really took this concept, this theory, and like applied it and made it. I wonder if it's the first time
do
we
they
see
like?
this.
I feel like a lot of it doesn't work if you poke at it too hard.
Really, really,
Like
to me it feels
yeah,
like
like
it holds
wouldn't that
up.
like damage the doors and stuff if you're like opening them that fast to pass through the doors? Like wouldn't it normally take those doors like forever and ever and ever to just slide open to like get on the turbo lift?
Wouldn't it be like a bit like the Flash? Wouldn't he be able to phase through it?
You definitely well, so Ian's right, but also Father's right. Yeah, those doors wouldn't even see you coming. Like they wouldn't even detect you. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Whatever the detection device is, that it wouldn't even register you, but you could phase through it.
But I
That
feel
is
like if you bumped into
yeah.
someone on accidents, like man, you just like hit them like going like so fast, I'd probably
That's
just like
true. They would get
shatter
knocked
them.
the heck
Yeah,
out.
it's just
Okay, fine, Fathery. It doesn't hold up. You're right.
I mean, with like the Flash, which is like comic book logic and science, which tends to be even less grounded in reality than something like Star Trek. But at least then, like you're like, oh, you have like the Speed Force that just explains all the things that don't make sense. And
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
I don't know how you excuse it here, but the moment I really appreciate in this episode, beyond Kirk's boot, I guess, but I love how towards the end, after Spock has figured out what's going on, he's found a way to cure Kirk, but also accelerate himself. and then he shows up there at the end to help Kirk stop the bad guy. And when Kirk comes down the corridor and he sees Spock and he sees that Spock can see him, and he doesn't like take a moment to like talk to him or like catch up. He just looks at him and smiles. He's like, "Oh yeah, of course, you
Yeah.
magnificent, brilliant bastard. You figured all this out and you showed up here to help me." Like Kirk doesn't need any more explanation. He's just like, "Yeah, of
And
course,
No.
it's Spock."
and neither do we, the
Yeah.
viewers who've been watching the show. Like
Well, we saw the
yeah,
whole process,
yeah,
so
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
like Kirk didn't need to see it. He's like,
yeah.
"Yeah,
That's
yeah, of
true.
course." Like he's not even like that
I think
surprised.
that's the difference between probably TV back then to TV now. Because I think if it was TV now, they'd spend about a 5-minute scene explaining everything of what that he has to sort of tell Kirk everything is there. But in there,
Let me
it's
get
just,
this straight.
you've done it.
That's right. Let me get this straight. Oh, how'd you get here? Yeah. Very good point. Very good point. Yeah. Different audiences too, different levels of sophistication or lack of sophistication. So yeah, but you're right. There is a difference. I'm charmed more by the style of older TV, but it's probably because I grew up watching all that older TV, so I like it better.
It's right. I do like that little flash of that and the little smile to say, yeah, as Father he put it, yeah, you genius, you've figured it out.
What did you guys think about the tables being turned and having Dila being, such a sexual like presence in this episode when she's like, she just grabs him and starts making out with him, and she's like, Dila, I'm Dila, the enemy, like how do you all think? What do you all think of her character also in general?
There's a degree of wish fulfillment, I think, with this type of like pulpy story. It's like the sinister woman has me held prisoner, but like she really wants to bang me, and it's just like that type of notion. Um, but I like the performance. I think the actress did a good job.
I really like Dila. I think she's the best example of a like so far into us. Like I feel like she never lost her power, if you will. You know what I mean? Like she was like a leader the whole time. She never like when her what was his name, Royale, she like she like punishes him, but she's very firm, but also not like malicious in a way. I mean, like I really got the idea that they were desperate and they needed to do this, and that they didn't really mean harm. And so when she like zaps Rael in that one scene, and she says, "You won't question my orders," and all this stuff, and give me the dignity to enjoy or like the person I've
Like
chosen.
who I've
Like the
chosen.
yeah, those
Yeah.
things, all that stuff, like really, it like really impressed me because I feel like there was no kink in her independence. Like typically, in the past, you would always have not always, but a lot of times, I feel like female characters, even in leadership positions, are somehow undermined by showing that they're weak in some way, or that they're like, they're like susceptible to their emotions, not like men, who can control those things. So I feel like Dila was a good example of like how that, she felt I missed that. What do you guys think?
It actually, mate. I mean, obviously, she'd like the bad boy in Kirk because as soon as he went back saying it was like, "Oh, I liked you when you were a bit more of a bad boy." She sort of looked at him, and go, "Oh, you've been assimilated, sort of now. You're now with it.
Kirk
You're not
became a
so
simp,
attractive
and she
anymore."
no longer. Yeah, Kirk became a simp, and
Yeah, yeah.
he was no longer
Obviously she
attractive.
liked the bikers. She was a
Yeah.
biker chick. She liked a bad boy biker type thing. But yeah, I think it was a case of just to keep the story going. I just thought it was sort of even though she was dispowered, there was a still bit of naivety about her with the way Kirk was and everything else. There just seemed to be that because obviously he played on that naivety to get the one up on her, because obviously he played it to say he's assimilated, but then when they get to the transporter room, he's taken her weapon and run off. So yeah, she was good, but I do like the play, and I do like his reaction when he's on the bridge after he's just been hyper accelerated, as he called it, and then she just jumped him, and he's like, get off type thing. But yeah, that was a good role reversal for me.
Any thoughts on that, Fathery?
It's weird how they have their weapon that like she keeps on her wrist, and it's just like right outside of arm's reach for Kirk. And then I was like, obviously, like eventually, yes, of course he does like go for it, and even after that, like eventually he does go for it and get it from her. So it just seems like shouldn't you make that like a little bit harder for someone else to use? Like maybe put like a biometric like thumbprint scanner or something. You know, like if your imprisonment of your captured sperm donor or whatever is like, you know, like the key to your species survival, like you should make it like a little bit harder for them to escape instead of being like, here's like an obvious way for you to escape, so please don't try to escape by stealing my weapon.
That's a good
And also
point.
the bit where she's distracted because she's talking when they're in the lab, and obviously Kirk has recorded his tape and said everything. That she's easily distracted by the conversation. Instead of keeping an eye on him, he swaps the tape, and then he runs off to the transporter and disengages that one and makes it so they can't transport off as well. So there was that bit as well. She, you know, as I said, it should have been thumbprinted, and then
Yeah.
also should have been keeping an eye on him as well.
It's like such like an obvious way for it's like in Sonic the Hedgehog, why does Dr. Robotnik build all these machines? Like here's like an obvious like red thing that if you jump on it as Sonic, you'll like blow up his robot. It's like that was like such an obvious like objective to get out of this. Like why do you design it this way?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Did you all? Is it me or did we get some new sets? Like the pipe, it felt like there were like new piping or something like that. That like we saw a new part of the transporter room, maybe, or a new part of medic. There was something new. I felt like
The life support room,
yeah, that
the
room. Yeah, yeah,
environmental
yeah.
control room, or
That's
whatever
it.
they
That's
call it.
it.
Oh, where they had the really poor air conditioning unit. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that's just they just redressed some existing stuff that they had standing.
They added some cool like piping and different colors and stuff, and I thought that was neat. That was a neat look. It reminded me. It felt like we're moving towards the look. You know, it feels like connections to both the TOS film era, and also I feel like the production designers for that and TNG may have like looked back at episodes like this and thought, oh, I like that feature. Let's put this in all the rest of Star Trek, you know, and you know, call it an homage or whatever. But yeah, it started to look a little familiar. Like we've seen those a lot of times. I'm sure someone on the internet, someone like Jurg, who does a lot of research on this stuff, has already done some analyses of this. But yeah, I thought that was cool. I was like, oh, that looks different. I definitely noticed it.
Has he combed over TOS? I know, like
I was
he's
gonna
working
ask
his way
him
through
actually.
Next
I was gonna ask
Generation.
him on online because if he did, it's before I started following him. So I don't know. You know, I don't know. But and it would be insane to just start scrolling back through his timeline because there's just the sheer volume of information. Like if I feel like to get back that far, unless Twitter gives you a way to like you know, search years or something like that. I'm not sure if there's a way to do that or not. But yeah.
I'm just thinking when you were saying about different bits. The one thing I did like was just a little heart back to Spectre of the Gun, where Chekhov said he's the antiquated weapons. I'll just step aside, and you know he's that antiquated. I'll step aside, and then of course Kirk fires the phaser, and it's really really slow, and she just steps to one side. And goes,
Yeah,
you're not going to get me. You're just not going to get me on that one.
that was like the
And I don't
invention
know
of
if
bullet
it
time. That was
Yeah.
like years
Yeah.
before the Matrix. This was 30 years before the Matrix. They were doing it on Star Trek.
And also
Yeah.
when they phasered the shield or whatever, like it like stopped. Like you could see that the right.
Yeah, I quite like the. I don't because I only watched the remastered. I haven't watched the original bit. I did like the way they've gone back to straight line phasers again instead of just like the blanket color and bright light that they actually because when they're on you said on the shield where it's all began and they're all doing their different bits to shoot it. I did quite like that effect, but I don't know whether I'm presuming that bit's a remastered one as opposed to
Yeah, I wish I
the
could see. I
the
wish
original.
Father's idea of where you could switch back and forth. You could do
Yeah.
that on the streams as
But you
well.
can
You
do
can do
that
it
on the
on the
Blu-rays.
Blu-rays. Yeah,
on
It's
Blu-ray.
a really
Yeah,
cool feature.
but I was
Worth.
being lazy and went straight to Netflix. So
Oh, do you have the
I
Blu-rays?
have
Ian?
original series on Blu-ray twice. I have
I
I have
do.
it in like 2 different box sets, and I still don't go up and put the discs in most of the time. I just watch on Paramount Plus.
Oh, right on. Look who we
Oh
have
my God.
here. The sub commander has decloaked. How's it going?
Good.
No,
How are
no, no.
you?
That's not the sub commander. He's got long hair and a beard. That can't be the same person.
Well, yeah, I was trying to get ready for spring, but it's about 20 degrees here today, so
It started
didn't
snowing,
work.
which is
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. No, sorry, I missed the whole conversation, but I haven't seen this episode in so long, I can't even remember it that well. So, but,
we were just like picking out like the highlights from it, and then at first I was really excited about the kind of the big sci-fi concept of acceleration, but then when you do start to like look at it in details, it does fall apart a little bit and seems a little hokey here and there.
Yeah.
But it's still interesting. But the episode is definitely innovative. We were just talking about how like certain things, like when she steps aside, when they phase her and steps aside and it doesn't get her. It's like bullet time in the Matrix, later on.
Right.
And I was talking about how like the slowing down to where they freeze, it's kind of similar to like how we see speedsters in like the Flash or something else, like, where they kind of freeze because the other
Yeah.
person's accelerated.
I agree, it doesn't totally hold up. I always wondered, like, when I forget the scene exactly, that Scotty's like trying to enter the transporter room, and they come back and forth to the transporter room, and he's still in like the exact same position. He hasn't moved at all. And you think, well, he would be moving a little bit. He should be moving kind of slowly, but it's just sort of frozen there. But yeah, no, it was not an episode that I found especially memorable. But I heard you, the father mentioned briefly the boot scene and all that implied. So that's kind of fun anyway.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I feel like it's kind of like Star Trek. It shows that Star Trek was like edgy for its time, and was kind of pushing the envelope, because I feel like that would have been a shock to 60s, especially older audiences in the 60s.
I think the suspicion is that it snuck past standards and practices at NBC or whatever they called it back then, and like someone must not have noticed that or realized what was going on there.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I think they have kind of a spotty record because there's so many instances where they specifically don't like the female guest stars to show their navels, but then there's some instances where they do. So I think some weeks they just paid more attention than others or something. But yeah, this week it seemed like the guy was on vacation, whoever was doing it. So yeah.
I do want to talk about the costumes of the Scalarans, but before that, Fun Will Now Commence made an interesting connection. I like this. One of the concepts in this episode is used in Voyager episode Phage, where the Vidians feel entitled to harvest organs for their own survival. Yeah, it's a similar thing, like how the Scalarans feel entitled to harvest donors.
Yeah. It's very like Handmaid's Tale. That's a show about like a fertility crisis and what people the lengths that they'll go to
keep going,
preserve their people to have their children and reproduce.
I love the costuming in this episode. I thought the material for what like Rael was wearing was very cool, and I feel like that shows up later in TNG a lot, like that kind of like reflective.
Oh yeah, the
rainbow.
shiny, the metallic shiny stuff.
Metallic shiny stuff, and then her dress was like catwalk ready, like couture. I thought it was so fabulous, like the way it was like like she had a full open side, like. Yeah. It was very risque, but also very elegant at the same time, which I don't know how else to describe it. So sexy.
I think describe it as quick access for the boot scene. That's what you describe it as.
Quick access. What's the Tice
It's very
theory?
Practical if you're trying to reproduce. It's true.
Their costume designer on the original series and a little bit on Next Generation, but the Tice theory of wardrobe, that the more it looks like the wardrobe might fall off, the sexier it is. Or it looks like it might just fall off at any moment or reveal something. There might be a wardrobe malfunction at any moment.
Right, something you tried to throw on, but just... Yeah.
Well, I would have loved to have seen Captain Kirk wearing a version of that.
I was
that was just in the fight scenes where the shirt ripped. That's what that was all about. That was that bit.
Kirk's boots. Jill points out Dila's outfit would not have worked on most people. It seemed designed just it felt very couture to me, where it was made specifically for that person.
But they're also kind of and I suppose it even like kind of plays into the stereotype of women being like predatory to men, like they're trying to go after these men to get babies or whatever. But yeah, it's if that is your objective, then you want to be appealing to your victims, I suppose. They might be passing by.
She's a cougar. She's a cougar.
Speaking of boots, I want to give a quick shout out to Ian over here for giving me some good recommendations for cosplaying TOS boots. He did over Twitter, so I appreciate that, Ian.
Oh, cool.
It's one thing I don't know if anybody caught, because I did have a quiet snicker at, is or Snigger, not Snicker, that's a chocolate bar. I don't know if you noticed when Kirk is first hyper-accelerated and he's walking around the bridge, the one thing they didn't quite get was Uhura's earring. She was dead. I mean, give Nichelle Nichols her due. She was there. She did not move, but the earring kept flickering to and fro.
Oh, wow.
It was just the one bit that they didn't quite catch, but it just made me smile on that.
Oh, that's
bit.
funny. Yeah, you need someone on set with a little bit of super glue or something, just if anything's moving
just
that,
to,
just
to
run
keep
over
it
there,
but
glue
instead
yeah.
it was just flicker. As Kirk got close and he walked past, and the earring was just going. It did make me smile on that bit.
Yeah. Most of them do pretty good job of not moving.
Oh, all of them to actually stand there for.
Hey guys,
for a
we
long
lost
period of
power.
time.
So I'm on my mobile device.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Lost power.
Yeah, good old reliable Florida electricity grid.
Well, there's a
Brewed
big
into
storm
the-
coming in. It's a cold front, and it's dark and foreboding outside. So I wonder if that had anything to do with it. But I'm gonna kind of hang out and try to get back online somehow. But carry on, and then we'll probably end the stream when you guys feel like you're done. So I'll be here listening.
Okay.
That's totally lost me now, because I was saying about the earring and that. But yeah, I was saying about the actors. The actors did a stellar job for just standing there and for long periods of time as well. That
James
must have been-
Doohan is stuck in that transporter room door for a lot of those shots. Yeah, so.
Yeah, totally.
What's that? Kirk's boots. McCoy was incapable of staying still while his colleagues looked frozen in stone.
Okay, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I didn't. That's one thing I didn't know. The only thing I kept seeing was his eyes were glistening. His eyes were slightly darting about the race, but impassive his face, but his eyes were sort of moving all around the place. But yeah, and I quite like that. Another one is that it brings a whole new meaning to first contact.
I feel like there was in the what was it, by any other name, they had to freeze when the Kelvins sort of kind of froze them before they turned them into little polyhedrons or whatever, but their eyes were moving in that case. But I guess it's a different sort of thing. Here it's everyone else is faster, not that they're not frozen.
Yeah, that's the second time we've actually sort of compared that those two episodes, because obviously you're saying about that, but also it's the bit we said earlier about making somebody jealous, Kirk jealous, and then there's trying to get, trying to fight and everything else over the female lead character of the aliens.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Yeah,
good point.
So that's the two on that one.
Is
Anything else, guys?
Just one quick thing. Is this the one where it has been a while since I've seen it, where there's one guy that they one red shirt they accelerate first, but he gets hurt or something in a fight, and then he ages that is this one. Yeah, I remember that being kind of sort of creepy, just that concept. It reminded me a little bit of that scene in the third Indiana Jones movie where the villain ages all of a sudden when he drinks from the wrong cup.
He chose poorly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were saying, we were joked about it earlier because obviously Starfleet Boy was saying there's yet another husband he's lost because obviously it's another cute red shirt and he gets killed off.
Right.
Oh, and he's back.
Yeah, I'm on my hotspot, but that's so weird. I don't know what happened. The the Scalarans didn't like that we were talking about their secrets, so they sabotaged my stream here.
They never say the
Finally-
exact rate of acceleration, do they? They never say it's like, you know, a lot of times if you see stuff like this, it'll be like, 1 hour for you is, 1 week for me or something. They never give us like a ratio, so we can't figure out which is probably a good idea that they didn't do that, because it would be hard to stay consistent throughout the whole episode.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
Any
must admit,
final?
I was thinking through the episode. I wondered if you accelerated the human voice that much, what it would actually sound like. Because I know they were saying it's like a mosquito type thing, but I do wonder when you do really accelerate it, do you just lose it because of the bit there, or does it go that what does it actually sound like? So that's one sort of thing that did cross my mind.
Well,
is if you really did.
if you adjust for temperature and salinity, it'll come out like woo, 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 woo. You know what I'm talking about.
Nice reference to Star Trek 4. Very nice. I do think that you can electronically accelerate stuff, and it pretty much sounds like that, like probably like a mosquito buzzing or something like that. But also, there's an interesting project that reminded me of that goes in the other direction, but I think it might still be running or it may have finished. But someone slowed down Beethoven's Ninth Symphony to like some really, really really slow pace, so that it would take like something like 5 years for the whole symphony to play, and it was streaming online. So I got to look for that project and see if it's still up and running. It feels like it was 10 years ago when I first heard about it, but
So
those
it's
are
played
neat things.
twice then. So
If that's the case, yeah, it's true. Any other final thoughts on this episode, guys?
from me,
No, I need to go watch it. I need to go watch it now. I always seem to avoid this one when it comes through one of the streaming or through the live
This happened
tweeting
to-
things.
This happened to me with the Batman, but also, and in general, I feel like.
Oh, I wish we
when
could
you
have
got-
sped up that movie, because it didn't need to be 3 hours long.
That was
So
3 hours long.
that
But what I was
movie,
gonna say is,
I would accelerate it a little bit.
because of the general consensus about season 3, I feel like my expectations for it were really low. So I'm being surprised, like left and right, like at how it's not as bad as people say or whatnot so far. I mean, to me, it feels like definitely not the strongest season of the 3, but it's still some damn good Star Trek going on. And if it's not in the story, I can say that in season 3, the actors are just so delightful to watch because they really get their characters. They really have figured out the interplay with one another, and just like the moment that Father pointed out earlier of just Kirk and Spock meeting in the hallway, and that little acknowledging moment, like those are the kinds of things that I feel like we're getting a lot more of this season, and I love it. I think it's really delightful. By the way, Father's yawning not because he's bored, but because he was up really late last night. I'm also fighting the urge to yawn.
No, I actually, this is really weird, but I have Ruben is running around here on the Starship Texas here with me. He is accelerated, but he did want to share his thoughts on the episode. So if you want to hear from Ruben.
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right, Ruben, what do you have to say? Well said.
You did Ruben's cosplay for him this week. He'll be very happy.
Very, very well said, Ruben.
Very nice. Well, I'm gonna give this episode a solid 8. on the Richter scale. It's not a 10. It's not a 10.
Mind you, let's mark this down in the calendar. I think this is one of the few times for Starfleet Boys not given a 10 to an episode. This is it's a momentous event.
I think it's the lowest rating he's given that I can recall since I've been doing this.
I know.
I give a lot of 10s, but I give 9s and 8s too. It's still up there. 8 is a high score. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Who wants to go next? Well, Tal, you don't remember.
I'll go next.
this
I don't
episode
remember.
so much,
Question
but
mark. Question mark for me.
Yeah,
I'll get
question
back to
mark. Go ahead, Admiral.
I'll give it a 6.5. It's a good science fiction episode. I think it's probably one of the filler episodes. It's got some good elements to it, but I wouldn't say it's a classic one, but still it's like you said, if you go in with no expectations, it's better than you actually think it is. And I think that's where I've gone in with it. I've sort of divorced myself from everybody saying season 3's the worst. It's there, but I'll give it a 6.5.
What would you give this if you gave a rating?
Well, Ruben actually gave my rating along with his, so that's all on the record. That's all on the record.
We just have to go and slow it down. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
What's going on in everyone's respective channels and Twitter? Tell the audience. Father, why don't you go first?
Well, everyone should go check out the Text Trek podcast. You can watch us live on YouTube every Friday night at 7 p.m. Central, or listen wherever you get your podcast. But we are talking about Star Trek every week, whatever the new episodes are. We just did a show last night discussing the latest episodes of both Discovery and Picard and giving them our patented Text Trek deep dive analysis. And I also have a couple of live streams on YouTube I did discussing the Star Trek cruise and also discussing the Star Trek Strange New Worlds teaser trailer. So you can check that out on the Text Trek YouTube channel.
Excellent. And Ian, what's going on in your neck of the woods?
Actually, this week I've posted four videos from the cruise. Basically, they're tour videos. The first one being the t-shirt party. So basically, I've gone round and showed people what it is. I then did the promenade, and I've done 4 videos. So I've got deck 5, deck 4, and a few others. I'm hoping to start getting back to doing some reviews. This is one of the first things I'm going to be doing soon, which is the Blue Bricks Refit Enterprise. So I will be getting back to doing that fairly soon. But as I said, I think I'm doing one more video from the cruise, which will be deck 11, where if you watch it very, very quickly, you get a brief appearance of Robert O'Reilly, aka Gowron, on that video. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. As I said, I'm on Twitter and Instagram, so I've been doing quite a bit on that. So that's from me.
Super cool. Everyone go check out Trek Cat on YouTube and on Twitter. Sub Commander, are you decloaking for any fun tonight? And also, it looks like you're on the TNG set back there right now.
Yeah,
actually.
no, we're
You're on some planet you would see on TNG, which is usually a mall or something like that.
yeah. No, there's orange life forms here as well.
That's awesome. Look at that.
Get in. Yeah. No, well, I don't have anything going on to promote. I'm going to make some Tuscan bean soup tonight and pick up my daughter from her little. It's actually a birthday party she went to, but it's downtown at the Willard Continental Hotel, which I was not expecting it to be at when I signed up for driving her. So I figured, well, I don't have time to get back home, so I'm here at the National Air and Space Museum, and I figured I'll spend an hour here until I have to go pick
that's
her up.
where you are. That's so cool. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
where's the are you near where the Enterprise is? This is so cool. Look at this.
No, the Enterprise is it's in storage. It's being worked on. So, but yeah, no, that would have been fun if I could have had that in the background. But just these boring, like, real things.
Are those
So
orange
cool.
people? Are those the people from the Apple?
No, I don't even know what these are. I haven't been here in a few years, but Oh, I guess they're famous scientists or famous female scientists from history. So that's cool.
That's so cool. Oh
But
my gosh, have fun. That's a place I've been to a few times and I love it there. Yeah, feel free to share as many pictures as you want. Like
yeah,
that's really cool. I feel like we should just do a whole show like of you just touring, taking us through the Air and Space Museum.
yeah.
I want
Well,
one of the shuttles is there too, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
It's
that
oh no.
well,
Oh,
not here, but it's at the satellite campus is out in Virginia. But yeah,
oh, gotcha. Okay.
they've got one there. Yeah,
And I think one's in Texas, right?
is that right? Yeah, maybe there's one
And then
here.
another one's in California. I can't remember which ones are where.
no,
But
it's in Florida. It's at the
there's like, but they took them and they after they retired them, they sent them all over the states. So one's in New York, if I'm not mistaken. One might be in California. One's here for sure, and probably in Houston or somewhere near.
I don't think we don't have a real shuttle in Houston.
Okay. Okay.
There's a fake one. It's like a scale 1-to-1 replica that you can like walk through, but it never went into space. It's not a real
Very
shuttle.
cool. Greetings, Wolfgang Samuel Kirsch. Greetings from Germany. So hello, or hallo. So on Starfleet Boy tomorrow at 2 p.m., we're going to be talking more Trek. We're going to talk about Star Trek Picard. We're going to do ooh, hold on. Sorry. Sorry to get that. I'm just going to mute you for a second, Admiral. Sorry about that. So there's like an echo. So tomorrow we're going to talk Picard. So I hope you guys will join us on our live stream for that. And then next week we do it all over again. So Thursday nights we talk disco. It's the disco season finale. And then we do a space for Picard, like a little reaction audio only space where you can participate and talk to us. Then Friday nights are TQIF. This week I couldn't be there in the engineering department for Text Trek, so I'm going to go watch Text Trek right now. I'm really excited and to hear y'all and what you thought of the 2 episodes. And then afterwards we do Starfleet Boy After Dark, and then we'll be back here for TOS again. So I hope you guys will join in for the fun next week as well and share all your thoughts. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Thank you, Sub Commander, for decloaking in such a cool place. Audience, as always, many, many thanks, and what a great conversation in the chat. Live long and prosper, and we will see you next time.